Good evening, it's 5:30 p.m. on Wednesday, September 13th, and I'll call to order this regular meeting of the Cuyahoga Falls City School District Board of Education. Ms. Stoykoy, please call the roll.
Ms. Coco?
Here.
Mr. Gomez?
Here.
Mr. Harris?
Here.
Mrs. Schaefer?
Here.
Ms. White?
Here.
Thank you. Item B, approve of the agenda. Number 1, motion to approve the agenda. It's recommended that the Board of Education approve the agenda of the September 13th, 2023 Board of Education meeting. Action by the Board of Education and adoption of the consent agenda means that all items are adopted by one singular motion, unless a member of the Board of Education, Treasurer, or Superintendent requests that any such item be removed from the consent agenda and voted upon separately.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Please call the roll.
Ms. Coco?
Aye.
Mr. Gomez?
Aye.
Mr. Harris?
Aye.
Mrs. Schaefer?
Aye.
Ms. White?
Aye.
Thank you. Item C, opening ceremony. Number 1, informational items. This meeting is a meeting of the Cuyahoga Falls Board of Education in public for the purpose of conducting the school district's business. It is not a public community meeting, although there are opportunities for public participation. If an individual wishes to address the board regarding a topic found on the meeting agenda, the individual must complete a registration form found inside the attendance notebook and present it to the treasurer. Following the introduction of the topic by the board president, followed by board discussion, the individual will be recognized. If an individual wishes to address the board regarding a topic not found on the meeting agenda, they must notify the superintendent and or board president of the topic no later than 3 business days in advance of the meeting. These individuals may share their comments during the board business portion of the agenda. In both cases, the individual will preface comments by announcement of their name and address and limit comments to 3 minutes. All statements should be directed to the board president. No person may address or question board members individually. In addition, in public session, the board will not hear complaints about school personnel nor against any person connected with the school system. An unabridged board agenda for this meeting can be found on your electronic device at the address shown on the screen, and for your convenience, there are hard copies of the board agenda on the sign-in table over there. The next regularly scheduled meetings of the Cuyahoga Falls Board of Education is September 27, 2023 at 5:30 p.m. in the Cuyahoga Falls High School Library. And now for our Pledge of Allegiance, and welcome Mrs. Schaefer.
Please stand if you're able and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Welcome. Our vision, Cuyahoga Falls City Schools, the hub of our community, committed to a culture of caring. We innovate, we create, we personalize education for all. Our mission, every student, every day, every opportunity. The board's strategic plan goals are as follows. School safety. We aspire to have a welcoming environment that ensures that physical and social well-being needs of every student and staff member are met. Academic growth. We aspire to have a significant growth through personalized education for all students. We aspire to improve graduation rates so that our students are prepared for employment, enrollment, or enlistment. Engagement, inclusion, and diversity. We will ensure that every student has access to resources they need when they need it in order to be successful. Technology and systems integration. We aspire to create safe, secure, and efficient technology systems to support high-quality teaching, learning, and district operations.
Thank you. Item D, presentations. Number 1, awarding of diploma. It's recommended that the Board of Education grant a Cuyahoga Falls High School diploma to the following individual who has now completed requirements stated by the state of Ohio for high school graduation. Tobias Thurman Lewis.
So moved. Second.
Discussion. So this individual is not here tonight because they are choosing to walk at commencement exercises in the spring. So we'll celebrate with Tobias in the spring, but we want to get them graduated this evening and send them our best wishes. Please call the roll.
Mr. Gomez?
Aye.
Mr. Harris?
Aye.
Mrs. Schaefer?
Aye.
Ms. White?
Aye.
Ms. Coco?
Aye.
Congratulations to our newest Black Tiger alumni, Tobias Thurman Lewis. Item E, Treasurer CFO's Business Consent Agenda. Ms. Stoykoy.
Thank you. I'd like to recommend that the Board of Education approve all items listed in the Treasurer's consent agenda.
So moved. Second.
Who was the second?
Sorry.
Mrs. Schaefer. Okay. Ms. Stoykoy, any discussion?
Yeah, just a couple quick things. One, the Power for Schools resolution So, as I'm sure most of you are aware, all of our electricity is run through the city of Cuyahoga Falls, except for obviously Silver Lake. And so through the OSC, which is one of our consortiums, it gives us the opportunity to have like an aggregate source and get a better deal on stuff for Silver Lake. So we do it for the one building. The other ones are not eligible, so that's why it's only Silver Lake. We've already been in this. It's just a renewal of the contract we were already in. And then the other one, real quick, was amended appropriations. We received we received some BWC grants. And so it was just one change to the 499 funds. They were considered state grants. They are a matching 3-to-1 for safety equipment, different things like that. So we received a few of those. That's the only changes. And sorry, donations. We have quite a few donations all across the district, and we're always appreciative of those.
Any questions or comments from the board? Please call the roll.
Mr. Harris?
Aye.
Mrs. Schaefer?
Aye.
Ms. White?
Aye.
Ms. Coco?
Aye.
Mr. Gomez?
Aye. And item F, Treasurer CFO's business, Ms. Stoiko, your comments.
Yeah. You should have all received today an email with your hotel confirmations.
Yes.
I am still on my streak of getting rooms at the Hilton for Capital Conference. Yes, I know.
Yes.
I know. I know. One year it went horribly wrong, and I've not let it happen again. So, I've not either, Ellen. I've not gotten over it, nor will I let it happen again. So you should have received those. If you did not, please let me know. And so everybody is set for that. And that's really it right now. We are trucking along. So.
Thank you. Brings us to item G, Superintendent CO's business consent agenda, Dr. Selko.
Thank you. I'd like to recommend that the Board of Education approve all items listed in the superintendent's consent agenda.
Second.
Any comments?
Actually, just pretty standard this evening routine items relative to personnel, the appointments and some resignations, coaching, substitutes, retirements and resignations, and then the contract for the Explore Learning, and that's for students in grades 6 through 8 with the online science activities that aren't necessarily in the textbooks, and so it's kind of like a supplemental, but used for simulations. And then the AL Safe Transportation, you saw them once before, but this is again for a contract for 3 students for transportation, special needs students, and then the contracts for homecoming.
Any questions or comments from the board? Okay, please call the roll.
Mrs. Schaefer?
Aye.
Ms. White?
Aye.
Ms. Coco?
Aye.
Mr. Gomez?
Aye.
Mr. Harris?
Aye.
Thank you. Brings us to item H, Superintendent CO's business, your comments tonight.
Thank you. I know that many of these things will be mentioned probably by board members, so I won't give detail, but I just want to give my sincere thanks and pride to the people who were responsible for different things that have been happening in the district, one being our Fresh Farm event. That was wonderful. We have had a number of, our first meeting today was our DLT, and I noticed Ms. Hausman might still be there cleaning up or something, but we had our first district leadership team meeting. We also had our first business advisory council meeting. I'm sure Ms. Coco will mention that. We had our safety assemblies, so those were at the middle schools and high school, and those went, I thought, very well. I wish I could say that we were on our same streak as we were last year, but unfortunately not. I had a couple expulsions already, and one most recently today, for things that we talked about not doing. But we are optimistic that, we have educated our students and parents. Also, a few of them attended, and I had an opportunity to speak with them while they were there and just to get their insight. And they thought it was a great idea and thought it went. They went well as well. Also had I relieved. Well, I didn't relieve him, but if you all recall, I had to. I had for teacher appreciation, a basket that I gave, I took an employee to lunch and then gave an hour out early, and then I also had to do his or her job for an hour. Well, it turns out Guido wins, and I'm like, you're a bus driver. You do not want me driving a bus. That would, number one, be illegal. And number two, yeah, I would be in some serious trouble with that. But I would get lost, as we all know, like within the first 3 minutes of the route. So you'd be getting calls. But he also does the pony at the midday, which is a van. And so I was able to jump in the car with him, the van, for an hour and a half and deliver in and out. I brought his thing. So that was kind of fun. And so he was trying to help me. I'm like, no, you stay in the car. I got to honor my whatever. I told you my promise that I would do it. And then lastly, was able to catch a glimpse of volleyball the other night. And then tomorrow night is Revere and Cuyahoga Falls. So it'll be at Revere. So I think I will take the little ones to that game, and we'll see how we do.
What colors will you be wearing?
I know, black and gold for sure.
Okay.
I haven't made roots there yet, so I'm
Okay.
for sure Cuyahoga Falls.
And hopefully, you could do half and half for the kids.
No, Auden will be playing with the tiger the whole night, so that'll occupy her. Yeah. That poor mascot, whoever it is tomorrow night, might want to let him know Auden's coming. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you. Brings us to item I, board business. Number 1 is a request to address the board. Ms. Lisa Pond, if you want to come up to the microphone, and then Mr. Hutch is going to get the timer ready. We won't start it till after you start talking and get your 3 minutes ready for you. And then just state your name. You don't have to state your address if you choose not to, because we have it on file. And then whenever you're ready, he'll start the thing when you.
I'm on the computer because I can't read my own handwriting. My name's Lisa, and I'm happy to be here. I love Cuyahoga Falls School District, and I'm a public school kid, except for 1 or 2 not awesome years, but so public school. And my friends do all their choices, so no judgment there. It's all fabulous. I'm here just to talk about busing. I was in that section of Cuyahoga Falls right here that used to receive busing because we were under a safety clause, an exception for being closer than 1.75 miles, because our children would have to cross multiple Chestnut, just so many streets, including Broad, plus walking over a mile to get there. Some people walking almost 2 miles to get there. Even those people, some of them not having access to a crosswalk. So just in the wintertime, in the darkness, in the snow, people not snow plowing, there's just no way that that's safe. I think we can all agree that that's just not safe. It's not going to happen. I've heard multiple people say, no one's going to let their kids do this. I wouldn't let my kids do it, which is awesome, but it's a very privileged statement to say that, to say I would never let my kids do that, because we have the choice. So some of us have the choice to carpool and to do that. Some people might not have that choice. As far as I know, the average income for here in Cuyahoga Falls is like $35,000. The household income is about $60,000. So it's not a one-person salary type of a situation right now. I don't think it's going up. So we have to have people with multiple jobs here. It's just how it is. It's going to be more and more like that. If we're lucky enough to get immigrants moving in here, a lot of them may not have access to driver's license right away, stuff like that. Might be working multiple jobs. Regardless, we are just needing to have safe ways for people to get to school for every single person. We are not crazy people. We will let our kids walk. So thinking outside of the box, let them, even if it's just one crazy place that everyone has to walk below Broad to get there, do that. If our schools are in super dire straits, and oh my gosh, if we let one person do it, then the state's going to make us drive all those people in private schools to their places, which is true. Like, we need to get people writing letters to the senators. Like, that's huge. If we have to pay $30,000 for one person to move in here, if they have serious mental health problems and we have to take them to school, I get that. If 10 people move in, that could sink our school. No, that's a problem. We need to be writing. We need to get ahead of that. We need to be the school district that is thinking ahead, that's preparing for that, getting together with other school districts, other superintendents, being that squeaky wheel until we get results. Parents don't know. I didn't know that. I just found out. If we are in dire straits and we cannot afford to have safety for our children, then we need to all be on that and ahead of it. So,
Feel
thank
free
you.
to finish your thought. Were you
Yeah.
done with what, if you were like in the middle of thought, feel free to finish.
Just saying that we're willing to consolidate, we're willing to take risks, but just not, I don't think anyone's willing to let kids walking across that road, broad in the middle of the darkness. And that people are already, you can see things on Facebook like, hi, I will pay gas money for someone to drive my kid. So that's like, hi, I'm looking for a stranger to drive my kid, and I'm going to take the money that I'm like earning from my job, and I'm going to pay somebody else. And I'm like, that's a bummer situation to do that. And I've also watched other people's kids, just because I've been asked by strangers to watch their kids, and it's usually single moms. So it's people who are like, hi, I live in the Falls, I work in Fairlawn, can you watch my kid after school? Of course I'm going to say yes. This has happened multiple times, but they don't have a choice. I, of course, don't have a choice. They don't have a choice. We don't have a choice because we don't have a bus. So we would just like a choice if at all possible. So thank you so much. Please be ahead of it. Rally the troops, do whatever you need to do.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming. Item 2, future agenda items. Does anyone have any future agenda items? So, we do have our Park and Rec Board person and our Library Board person. One of our Library Board people, their terms expire at the end of this calendar year. Our policy says that we have to start that process 3 months before that expires. So that would be October. So the first meeting in October, I'll put that on as a discussion item. And then I sent in that email back to Darian, letting her know, reminding her about her term. That's the policy, so you should all have that. If you want to recheck that email, you can read what that policy is. It applies to both positions. So that'll be first meeting in October. We'll have to discuss that. And where we want to post it, because obviously we don't have the false press anymore. How do we try to make people aware of that? Because social media is great, but again, you don't reach everyone with social media. So we'll have to try to think thoughtfully about ways to try to reach a broader swath of community without our local paper. And then at our next meeting, we will have our presentation on our state report card. Those get released tomorrow, so just be aware of that, that you'll be able to access those on the ODE website starting tomorrow. And something I was not aware of until I got an email from ODE about it is that there are half stars starting this year. So it's 1 star, 1.5 stars, 2 stars, 2.5 stars. So that's actually kind of nice because they don't round up. Like if you're like a half point away from something on 2 stars, you don't get 3 stars. So I appreciate these half stars because I think it better reflects districts and the efforts that they're making. So I think that's a good change. It's a positive change, and I think it'll better reflect how districts look, because I think there are some things last year where we might have had a half star and it might have more accurately reflected our picture. So we'll see how that shakes out tomorrow when ODE releases them. I believe the plan's 9 a.m., but state websites don't always work because a lot of people will be accessing that. So we'll see. So that's next meeting. As usual, I expect we'll spend a lot of time on that and ask a lot of questions, as we always do. So that gets us through our next 2 meetings. Number 3, committee reports. I know we're back to a lot of these meetings. Did the construction board team have a meeting?
Yes, we did. We met. I'm not gonna go over everything, but we talked about the early site development, the 612 building, and if you've gone by, you can see the big things going up. It's just awesome. I go by once or twice a week just to see, everything. It's so exciting. I can't believe how big that is already. It just freaks me out. It's so huge.
And the aerial shot, did you see the aerial shot?
Yes, I
Oh,
did.
wow.
So those kinds of things. Dominion Gas, we're still kind of working on that permit. We're getting there. So all that is basically, what we talked about. Also, I wanted to mention that the planning committee, it will be their last one in October. And Dr. Selico and the rest of the team talked about putting on a special thank you for them on that October 19th meeting. And also, we suggested maybe we could bring them in when the building is finished so they could get a quick sneak preview of the building before we actually get it out into use. So that was, I don't think there was really much more in my notes. It's a lot about electrical and framing and plumbing and steel and, that kind of thing, which I'm not, but all good. It's coming.
Wonderful. Thank you. Business Alliance Council, you had your first meeting?
We did. We had our first meeting yesterday, and it was a good turnout. I think most people returned from last year, and a couple new faces as well. So to start off the year with that many people coming back and excited was very promising. Yesterday, because it was the first meeting, it was everyone reintroducing themselves and Dr. Selico going over, just reintroducing herself and going over a few things in the district. She did highlight the safety meetings that we did, and then we broke back off into our groups where we left off last year. We have action steps for the different groups that the business committee is meeting. There is representatives from the district in all of those groups. And so yesterday was just kind of us getting back together and making sure that we remembered everything we were working. So last year was a lot of talking and planning, and this is the year of action. Yeah, it went well. Then we all reconvened and let Dr. Selico know what other people from the district each team feels would be good to be at the table to move forward with the group. And our next meeting is October 10th? Yes. Yeah,
Thank
that
you.
was good.
Foundation Alumni Association, we met last evening. We are putting our plans in place for the scholarship process again for the new year, because we like to get that out before Christmas break even starts, or I'm supposed to say winter break, sorry. Winter break even starts, sorry, old habits die hard. So we like to get that out so that some of our seniors can work on that over the winter break if they want to. So we're already working on that. We are going to digitize the teacher application for the teacher grants this year as well, to make that a little bit easier for them to not rely on paper. We feel like they're pretty comfortable with like filling out a Google Doc survey. Hopefully maybe we'll get more that way by making the process a little bit easier for them, because our goal is to support their efforts as well. So hopefully we can get more folks by making that process easier. And then May 7th, it's a Tuesday night. That will be our scholarship and distinguished alumni recognition next year. October is our annual business meeting per our bylaws, and we'll be electing new officers. Beth McNicholas is staying on as a trustee, but she's stepping down as president. And Kathy Moffat's going to become the new president of the Foundation Alumni Association, pending our vote. But it's not contested, and frankly, Kathy is going to do a wonderful job. So she's going to step up as president, and Geraldine Ferguson's going to become the new vice president. And then Mark Noonan's going to stay on as our treasurer. So those will be our new officers that we'll vote on next month. And then we're working on our membership renewals. those postcards will be coming out soon, and you know that I'll be happy to remind you all multiple times until you renew. So, look forward to that. Legislative Liaison, Mr. Harris?
Yeah, I have a brief update here. Yesterday, the House introduced House Bill 2335, which would reinstitute the rule-changing meetings and public testimony and ensure public accountability within all elected partisan state board of education, gradually phased in along congressional districts as current board memberships expire. So again, they're going to be moving to an all-partisan state board of education. The count of 19 members will reduce to 15. Again, that is based on the 15 congressional districts. And then I also want to make mention of Governor DeWine's Ohio School Bus Safety Working Group, which held their first meeting on Monday. Again, this was in response to the bus accident that happened about a month ago with 11-year-old in Clark County. This was quickly formed as a result of that crash. 15-member group charged with looking at school bus regulations and school bus seatbelts, crash risk records, among other things. They're expected to make their recommendations by the end of the year. So I'll keep everyone posted on that.
I also wanted to add, Substitute Senate Bill 49 is pending in the Primary and Secondary Education Committee in the House, and they adopted the substitute version in the committee yesterday. And this was originally the Religious Expression Day bill, but this is becoming an attendance omnibus bill, and they're doing some really good stuff in it, which includes not including the first 60 hours of excused absences towards against a student and against a district in terms of absence intervention plans and against your absence data negatively in reflection on your state report card as well. So that would be positive. That's a positive thing that a lot of districts would like to see, because again, there's a multitude of reasons why students could have excused absences, and I think through our associations they've been pushing for this, because if the legislature is going to include additional reasons for which students can have days off that are excused that are justifiable, because certainly within our own district there are religious minorities for which holidays we don't have off in our calendar that they might need that day off to celebrate their religious expression, and that's a justifiable reason for an excused absence. That shouldn't be held against the school district's reporting. So that's really good news in my opinion, and I think as it's something we struggle with as a district, and something we're working very actively on a district, something we probably want to watch very closely. And the other thing they're doing that OSBA's been pushing for is when you have a student on a IEP and special needs and they choose to do a social graduation and then they come back as a super senior, currently under current state law that counts against your graduation rate. They adopted an amendment yesterday into Senate Sub Bill 49 in which that would no longer count against your graduation rate, which again would be reflected in your state report card. So two really good amendments in that bill. So this is something, these are two things that we really want to push forward. This is probably a bill that we want to get passed, and it seems like they're motivated to get this one pushed through. So two really good things that we really like to see. And I want to highlight when they're doing good stuff, I want to put it out there and us push forward the good stuff, because they need to hear from us when they're doing good work, because if they only hear from us when we're unhappy with them, they're going to disregard us. So it's important that we reach out when they're doing stuff that we really are appreciative for, because then they'll be more willing to listen to us when we're not so happy about certain things they're doing. So, thank you. Student Achievement Liaison, Ms. White. I know that you had the gifted meeting.
I did, and I'll talk about that. It wasn't, I just want to apologize for missing the DLT. I had it on my schedule for next Monday, not this Monday, so I didn't even realize we had one, but I will, if somebody can get me those dates, I'll change my calendar. The gifted, we just kind of met and introduced ourselves. I was there, Ms. Hausman was there, Ms. Dudones, and we had 3 parents, I believe, with all gifted children that met. And we just basically talked up and highlighted what we do in the district, what the best practices are, and then kind of we'll figure out where we're gonna go from there. So, bless you. That was, I think, about all that we got done, but, there are some articles given and, to read and some good statistics in there for us to go over, so, thank you.
Thank you. Item 4, comments. Mr. Harris, you are up first.
Yes, another congratulations to Mr. Lewis, our graduate this evening. I was able to attend last Wednesday the Fresh Farm Garden Party. It was, I mean, I'm always impressed every time I show up. I didn't realize it had expanded so large. They put a couple new plots in and had some new plants up. But I'm always proud of the students over there, and obviously the hard work of staff, the 2 Steves, Mr. Nolan and Mr. McIntosh. So thank them, and great work by all the students involved in that program. And then, I'm just looking forward to all the fall events. Fall's my favorite season, so let's get it going. So, thank you.
Mrs. Schaefer.
Yeah, so I also was at the Fresh Farm Garden Party. I did win 6 free fresh eggs.
Oh, wow.
Not prepared them yet. I don't know if you know this, but you don't have to refrigerate fresh eggs when they have not been washed yet, so they are still sitting on my counter. And I do have a plan for them. Then they also had some things, that, like, extra things, vegetables you could take home, and so I stepped out of my comfort zone, and I got some of the Chinese eggplant, and what's the name of the pepper?
Shishito.
Shishito. So I read about them, and they are not spicy, but the caveat is it's 1 in 10 is spicy. So I ate 1. It was not spicy. I would probably not have tried it otherwise. Not a spicy person. I did the eggplant. It did not look good when I prepared it, but it did taste good. So I'm happy that I was challenged to prepare something with that. So one of the things that stood out for me at the garden party were the students that were in, and some alumni came back for the party as well, and they were just like kind of in their element, doing their thing, and just being who they are. I enjoyed it a lot, watching everyone kind of just do their thing, and I think it was a fun event for everybody. I got to go to the safety assembly at Bowling, which is always a little bit surreal when I go back to Bowling. And I'm sitting on the other side. I'm not in the bleachers watching I'm to the side. So that's interesting. I think it was very well put together, and a lot of good comments, suggestions that were made by the people of authority. And the Revere game tomorrow, not on Friday. It's on Thursday this week, so I'll be attending that.
Oh, okay. Look out. Get ready.
I have a friend in the Revere band, so that's gonna be interesting. He plays bells, and that's about it. I think it's a full week.
Thank you. Ms. White?
Yeah, I also attended the Fresh Farm Garden Party, and it just is amazing. The food and everything, the music, the camaraderie, it's just really great to see everybody there and out and about and enjoying. I did go by the flowers and had my picture taken because they were taller than me. So, it's the way it is. I also attended the high school pep rally, the first one. I was so excited. I know, I haven't been for a while, and I was so excited, and I had asked Mr. Smith if he minded. He said no. So I came in and enjoyed it. It was really well done, very well done, and I enjoyed it extremely. And I got to see my grandson as well. So that was really something to see. And then I wanted to, again, thank those people for donating. We don't often thank them enough, and we really should thank them more. It's so wonderful when you get donations at whatever amount or whatever it is for our schools. We really appreciated it, and I just wanted to say that as well. And I do have an article tonight to read. It's called Creating Clarity on Equity in Schools. And I found it pretty interesting, and I'm not gonna read the whole thing, but I'll read sections. The effort to advance equity in education is under threat throughout the country. Ironically, the threat comes from two competing sources, conservatives with woke and all that, and I'm not gonna get into that. And then some school and district leaders who are unable to devise strategies that lead to measurable advancements in equity. In 2001, with the adoption of the No Child Left Behind, when they passed that and adopted that, since its enactment, it has been common to find bold proclamations of commitments to equity and a promise to serve all students, regardless of background or need, in district mission statements and catchy slogans on school building walls. However, support for what equity work truly entails never ran deep, and it soon became clear that many policy makers and education leaders who espoused support for equity did not actually understand what was required to achieve it. It's essential, first off, that district and school leaders clearly define equity and operationalize their vision into actionable plans. In education, equity has been defined as a commitment to serving all students regardless of background or need, and a willingness to implement differentiated measures to address students' academic and social needs. Differentiation is critical because it provides a means to recognize and respond to the diverse needs of students. Disaggregated data on achievement, which is required by federal and state laws, has consistently shown that in most school districts, racial disparities and outcomes persist despite equity promises. It's profoundly important that the commitment to equity not be interpreted as a retreat from the pursuit of academic excellence. Schools are microcosms of their communities, and challenges related to teaching and learning tend to be directly related to the ability of a school to respond to the unmet academic and social needs of children. Equity initiatives must therefore focus on closing the gap between the needs of students and the capabilities of schools and districts, including the skills and knowledge of teachers. Differentiated professional development for teachers to ensure that they have a strong command over subject matter content, a range of pedagogical skills, and the ability to develop strong positive relations with students from a variety of backgrounds can lead to greater responsiveness and deeper student engagement. We have found that when equity efforts are implemented with clarity and carried out with sustained commitment to quality and fidelity, schools can become beacons of hope and opportunity. School leaders can utilize the 5 essentials of school improvement put forth by the Chicago Consortium on School Improvement. They are a coherent approach to learning and teaching, ongoing development of professional capacity, student-centered school culture, strong parent and community engagement, shared leadership that drives change. I hope that you can see that this is part of our strategic plan in our district as well. I'm not going to go into what each one of those are, but I will just end with rather than a recipe, like a cookbook, the 5 essentials should be thought of as a guide for action. They can be used to first develop a plan that responds to the unique needs of schools and communities, and later to assess equity efforts so that we are sure genuine progress is being made. So I just found that very interesting. Thank you.
Mr. Gomez, may I make a comment?
I was gonna make one too.
Yeah, go right ahead. You're
I
the
was
boss.
gonna say, I think the article makes a great point about the disaggregation of data when people talk about why do we talk so much about equity in recent years, because we've only had hard data since the No Child Left Behind Act was enacted, because until then we didn't have disaggregation of data nationally to prove what so many educators already knew, was that we had inequity in education. But until the No Child Left Behind Act forced everyone nationwide to have disaggregated data, we weren't able to prove the inequities and to actually do the hard work of trying to bridge those gaps. So I appreciate the article made that point. And I just think when you've only had this hard data for 20 years, that's why only in recent years has there been so much conversation, because there's only been the data in recent years. So that's the comment I wanted to make about your comment.
And thank you. Mrs. White, did Mrs. Hausman give you that article?
No.
I know,
No.
I probably figured not. But yet, a lot of the work that she's leading, you know, and again, I talked earlier at DLT about her journey, she refers to it as, that, you know, we talked about teacher clarity and equity, and we're embedding our ICS and equity work with the notion of teacher clarity, and we looked at, even as recent as this afternoon, we were looking at standards and, you know, kind of unpacking that a little bit with their teams and talking about identities. And so really a lot of what you talked about was covered in just our first DLT meeting, so more to come.
Good.
if I'm not
Sorry, I
mistaken.
missed it. I know, I'm
Yeah,
so
you all,
sorry.
you know what, there's more to come.
Yeah, please send me the dates so I can change them on my calendar. I'd appreciate that. Thank you. Sorry, I didn't mean to take so
No,
much time.
you're good. All good. Ms. Coco.
Yes, I forgot to mention one thing about our Business Alliance Council. Was Dr. Selico at the beginning went over all the changes in central office as well as the principals in the middle schools and high school. And so everyone new in this district, just so you know, Dr. Selico very much talked you all up to a very high standard, and no doubt that you are going to reach and are reaching those standards. But so just so you know, now everyone in the community knows how awesome you are too. So okay, that was a sidebar. But I also went to the Fresh Farm Garden Party, and like everyone else, it is one of my favorite events that we go to and attend every year, and just so excited that they are part of the CTE program this year as the newest program added. And I like that it incorporates not just the Fresh Farm, but that the artists are there, and the music, that everything together is just highlighting so much good that's happening in our district. And that and I know that there were community members that were there that don't necessarily even have students in our district, which is awesome, that there are other people that are coming in and recognizing the work that's being done there. So, and I was able to take home some eggplant and green beans. Eggplant was delicious, although I did have a reaction to it, but that's just me. My family loved it. I loved it. My body didn't love it. It's a nightshade. I forgot. But it was delicious, and my one time I'll be eating it, but it was good. And then I was not able to go to the safety assemblies, but I did watch the high school presentation that was sent out, and just a big thank you to everyone that participated in that. And it's just so important for us to impress on our students the implications of their choices. And so thank you to everyone that participated. And I'm ready for fall as well. And I have volunteered as tribute to be in a dunk tank on Friday night at Lincoln. So if anybody wants to throw a ball at me, come on by. I will be there between 7 and 8.
7 and 8, I'll be gone
Yes,
by then.
yes. Come by, throw a ball, get your frustrations out. Whatever happened during the week, you can point it all towards me on Friday night. So yes, but I'm happy to do it. I actually had fun last year. It does look a little colder this year though, so we'll see. Yeah,
I did not have fun last year.
Yeah.
I know, that's why I volunteered as tribute.
I declined that one.
I'm up last. I also attended the Fresh Farm Garden Party, and then I attended a webinar on the new Auditor of State's levy guidance. There's not a ton that is horribly different than how we operate as a school district. I think we were a bit ahead of the curve compared to a lot of districts on that. There are a few things when our next one comes up, which is not this year, so I'm not gonna think about it too much. But there's a couple of things that we can do differently that they suggest. So all in all, we're well positioned overall. And then last night when I was at Alumni Association, Dr. Selk always has to give her superintendent report to them first, and I give a board report second. You were gone by the time I gave my report. They said, well, what's the board been up to? And I was like, we've honestly been our part of the beginning of the year has been relatively calm because her part has been so uncalm. Because when you look at it and reflect on it, this is what I was telling them, all of the things that we worked with her over the last year to identify, and even before that, that we had identified as things that we saw as areas that we really needed to work on, are now being worked on. So in a sense, the stress level of being on the school board is not as great as it once was, because all the major areas that we knew were the major issues have people working on them. And that's kind of a relief. Now, I said to them, now, when January comes, we're going to start evaluating all these things through the strategic plan process, and we'll see what's working and what's not. So then we'll see where our stress level's at once we see if everything's working or not. But for now, it's kind of nice. Like, it's not been too terrible of a start of the year on the school board side. I know her side's been stressful because she's trying to implement all of these things, but I just wanted to acknowledge that as well too, because I think it's important to acknowledge all the work that we did in planning, and all the work that Dr. Salko is now doing to address all of these areas that are major concerns. And when this report card comes out tomorrow, we have to keep in mind that it's a backwards looking document. So it's gonna highlight all of these areas of concern that we are concerned about as a school district. And I don't have a crystal ball, I don't know what it's gonna look like, but I can guess that it's gonna highlight a lot of these areas of concern that we're worried about, that we spent all of last year working on to get these new people in place, because we knew that we had areas of weaknesses that we needed to strengthen, and there were people in classrooms that weren't being supported like they should be. So now we've put people in place to support them better, and we've invested a lot of money in new curriculum to support people better, to give them better resources. And so that's going to take time, and I know that not everybody gets that, but I think it's important for us to reflect on that as well too. That it's a backwards looking document, and it's going to reflect all of the struggles that we had, but to also reflect on all of the work we did and are doing and are continuing to do to move forward, because it's what these students deserve. So, with that, item J, executive session. There'll be no action after executive session, so we'll stop the recording after we take the vote. Pursuant to Ohio Revised Code, Section 121.22G2 and Ohio Revised Code, Section 121.22G4, is hereby moved that the board adjourn to executive session to consider the purchase of property for public purposes, the sale of property at competitive bidding, or the sale or other disposition of unneeded, obsolete, or unfit for use property, and to prepare for negotiations with public employees concerning their compensation or other terms and conditions of their employment.
I'll second.
Please call the roll.
Ms. White?
Aye.
Ms. Coco?
Aye.
Mr. Gomez?
Aye.
Mr. Harris?
Aye.
Mrs. Schaefer?
Aye.
In